You fascinated me in the class you teach at Brown, The Science and Power, the Corruption of Public Health. You talk about exposing capitalist externalities. And I never thought about that. And I'd love to hear you just talk about that. We are essentially paying for the environmental and potential public health damage that these corporations are bringing into our world.
Correct. You see, if a company buys steel or needs electricity, they pay for that, and that's some of the costs of making the product. But if they pollute the environment and people get sick, they don't pay for those illnesses, unless in the rare case they get caught and there's lawsuits. If they create global warming or pollution, they don't pay those costs. Those costs are borne by the people in Louisiana who are getting flooded, or the people in Florida are going to get that big hurricane soon. If they produce a consumer product that makes people sick, that's an externalized cost. All of these three things are externalized costs. In other words, the company doesn't have to pay the costs of making someone who uses talc get ovarian cancer. That's a big cost. They don't have to pay that cost, but for a lawsuit. And so it's an economic principle. It's the reason capitalism doesn't work. It's the reason you need regulations. It's the reason you need more than regulations. You need an active population fighting for public health, for themselves and their relatives. Because the capitalist system doesn't account for those costs.
No, unless, of course, the science can prove that their company is causing this damage. But then, like you've said multiple times, these corporations are now hiring science teams and research to prove the very studies that show that their companies aren't causing this damage, even though they are.
There's a huge industry of companies that just do, we're talking hundreds of millions of dollars, probably 30 or 40 or 50 companies who just produce research for corporations to avoid regulation and costs of litigation. And a lot of what I've published is how they lie, cheat, and steal in the published papers that they write.
Wow. But the problem is that, and again, this is a part of capitalism too, in a sense. They're getting paid much more money by these corporations to do this research than if they were to be government-funded scientific research.
Well, the government's not funding any of that research. Government hasn't funded a penny on talc. They don't fund anything on consumer products. And there's small amounts of funding in occupational and environmental health, but not the kind of money that companies throw into trying to make up data and studies that show that whatever product they make isn't harmful.